This is the Daily Thunder podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Ryan Woods, and I am with Brandon Rahbar, Daily Thunder beat writer. Brandon, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. This was not the best game to watch, but personally, I am good. As a fan and reporter of the team, I have mixed emotions about how the game played out tonight.
It was a very low-scoring game. We had a final of 78-87. Dallas gets the win at home. Pretty sloppy game, I would say. A lot of Darius Baisley early on, and it just never really neither team really got into a rhythm, and the 3-point line seemed to keep Oklahoma City in it for a while, but you knew Dallas at some point was going to start hitting threes, and as soon as they did, they started to separate themselves.
Yeah, that's really what it came down to. And Porzingis kind of went off in a little, few-minute stretch. That was really the difference, really, for most of the game, besides that little spurt where Dallas hit some threes and Porzingis had his little streak going. It was an even game. That's not necessarily kudos to either team for playing an even game, because it was just a sloppy game by both teams. Was it good defense or bad offense? I don't know, maybe a mix of both, but it was just of all the Thunder games, this has been an exciting season because the Thunder have exceeded expectations all season long. They play better than anybody thought they were going to play all season long. Every game, they're competitive, they fight, they try hard, all those things. Tonight, it was just sloppy. I would say this was the one kind of egg that they laid all season long. Even in other games where they got blown out, that was just because they were playing, an elite team like the Clippers or the Lakers or something like that. And they might have got blown out, but you could still take away positives and see, good play. Tonight was just an overall from the entire team. Besides Ty Jerome, there will be no Ty Jerome slander. Besides him, it was just a sloppy game overall. But, one egg in a half season of, a rebuilding season, I'll take that.
It was one of the very few lousy nights. I totally agree with you. And I would say, to answer your question about was it good defense or bad offense, I do think it was a bit of both, but I do want to give credit to Josh Richardson on Shea. I thought he made Shea very uncomfortable and was cutting off a lot of the driving lanes that Shea's either created for himself with his handle or just taken the ones that were open for him. I felt like they closed those off and really bottled him in the middle of the floor. And I think that had a huge effect on how effective Oklahoma City could be on offense. Because if you take him away, his ability to get in the lane, that is the quickest way to shut off the water for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that's absolutely. You nailed it. And they did. It was a combination of Richardson, and they just packed the paint as soon as he got there.
Mm-hmm.
They would double. They didn't really care about anybody else. They would, they would leave open shooters. And to Shea's credit, like he has all season long, he found the open shooters. There were so many times where he drove, realized that the lane wasn't there. He wasn't going to be able to get to the rim cleanly. So he kicked out, found the right man, made a good pass. And, some of these are shooters that have been hitting these shots all season long. They just weren't going down. Sometimes you just have a team-wide missing shot epidemic, and that kind of happened tonight.
It really did.
So there's not much to take away, I don't think. Yeah, credit to the Mavs for playing some good defense. We could have a conversation about whether or not they played better defense because Luka wasn't there tonight, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, they play good defense, and I thought that Shea still played a solid game. He just wasn't really allowed to do much because the Mavs were so focused on stopping him.
No question. And you make a good point about Luka. It's always interesting, isn't it? Like NBA teams are without their best player, and all of a sudden they compensate so well on the other end to make up for a loss like that. it's always very interesting. Like, well, why don't you just defend like that every night?
Right, right.
Got to be
Bec-
very frustrating for Maverick fans thinking like, and of course they don't play Oklahoma City every night, but Oklahoma City's a good team that has scored a lot of points on a lot of teams. So it's a very interesting dynamic that happens all over the league, not just with Dallas. So always funny to see. I remember we've talked about this specific game before, but the game where years ago when Oklahoma City was without Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook against the Rockets, and they held the Rockets to 69 points and still lost.
yeah, yeah.
um,
That's, I mean,
it's
because
it's
you
just
look at it.
something that happens in the NBA. Like teams know they have to buckle down, and maybe teams kind of take their foot off the gas, thinking they don't have to score a ton to win. So it's just a weird night for Oklahoma City in the NBA, given that they were going up against a team without Luka, and they struggled to score at all.
Yeah, and it's funny because you mentioned that 69-point game. The Thunder held the Mavs to 87
Yeah,
points
yeah,
tonight.
they did.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's a win,
Hmm.
especially going against a Mavs team who's ranked like 25th in defense this year and were
Yeah.
even worse last year. It's, I think it was just one of those nights, but I do think there's something to be said. Obviously, Luka's a top 5 to 10 player in the league. He's a superstar. He's great. This is a one game, small sample size, but I do think in this one particular game, had they had Luka, they wouldn't have buckled down so hard on defense. And maybe it's actually a more competitive, better game for the Thunder with Luka playing tonight. I know that sounds ridiculous,
No,
but
but that's the other side of how those games go. You typically get a higher scoring, like more flow to the game when you have everybody. It's very true. The both teams combined to shoot 79 3-pointers. Without looking, how many do you think they made combined?
uh, man, so probably about 20.
Uh,
I'd say,
17.
yeah, that's, yeah, I
17
saw
out of
actually even more.
79.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, that sounds about right. I gave them a little bit too much credit. Uh,
Dallas shot 38% from the floor, 20% from the three-point line, 78% from the free throw line, and turned the ball over 12 times. They won.
it's funny because there's all Mavs fans are like, wow, we got by with one. We didn't have Luka tonight. We shot horribly from the field, from the 3-point line. We had no business winning this game. Wow, high five, guys. But there's probably a lot of Thunder fans that, are pro tank who saw that Luka wasn't playing and they thought that this win was in the bag and like, whoo, we got by with one tonight, guys. High five. We had no
You're
business
talking to one of
losing.
them. You're
We
talking to
had
one
no
of them.
business losing this game and we lost it. Well done.
Yeah, it when I saw that Luca was out, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." Uh and on a night where Detroit gets a win over Toronto, um, I'm thinking this would be a decent yeah, this would be a decent night to drop one, and then I see the Luka news. So, what I was slightly uh encouraged by the eventual outcome. Did you see that? Did you see that Orlando blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter to Atlanta?
Yes, I saw that. The Cavs blew a huge
Cavs blew a
lead.
huge lead. Yep.
Those are two teams that I don't know if you want to say ahead or behind of the Thunder on takeathon.com, but that would have been a big help for the Thunder's lottery chances had those teams lost. And you almost wonder, do they do this because they're bad teams and that's why they lose these big double digit leads? Or are they purposely tanking? Like, are they somehow instructed by a higher authority? I'm not talking about God. God doesn't care about thinking. I'm talking about like coaches, GMs, because they have mastered it. The Thunder
Yeah.
have not mastered this. The Thunder try, they put in effort, they want to win. They put in guys at the end of games who have a better chance of winning games than losing games. Then I look at teams like the Cavs and Magic who blow these huge leads all the time, and
Hmm.
I'm like, how are they doing this? Uh,
Indiana got a triple double off the bench from TJ McConnell with steals. He had
Wow.
10, I believe he finished with 10 steals, which he's the
Wow.
first player ever to come off the bench and record a triple double that included steals. So it
He,
is it is
he is he is
one
the
of those came
first
with a
play.
minute left.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And then
So
you
to your
follow,
point, I don't know. They might that might clue people into the tank was on in
yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah, absolutely. And then you see all these the Wizards, the way that they're losing games, and they want to actually win games, but you're like, how are they doing this?
Hmm.
Then there was a game the other night. What was it? The Kings lost. They were up by like
Oh
8
my
with a minute
gosh.
left.
Yes.
I mean,
That
some
game was truly like an aberration. I don't know that we'll ever see that scenario happen again. They were up by 8 points with a minute 9 left. They were up by 8 shooting 2 free throws and getting the ball because of a flagrant foul. So they were getting 2 free throws and possession up by 8 with a minute 9 and they lost in regulation.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
It
That's
was
ridiculous.
it was unbelievable.
It's getting tough. When you look at the teams that are ahead of the Thunder, at the bottom of the standings, you know, it's hard to see. The Rockets have lost 13 games in a row.
Mhm.
Uh, the Kings, what they're doing, the Magic, what they're doing. You start to say the Thunder really, if they're going to get a top 5 pick, those trades need to come ASAP because
Mhm.
these teams have mastered losing. The Timberwolves, even with Cat back, are losing games right and left. The
They've
Pistons,
lost
yeah, they
9 in a
won
row.
to, yeah, yes, it's just absolutely brutal. You know, the Kings may beat the Lakers tonight without LeBron playing and Anthony Davis playing, but they've got a lead right now. But I assume by the time this podcast comes out, they will have blown that lead. Uh,
That's what they do.
so so yeah, it's tough times to be a tanker if you're a Thunder fan.
I do want to talk about Houston for a second because it is discouraging to see them go on uh in one sense it's discouraging to see them go on such a losing streak because obviously that pick is 1 through 4 protected, but the more I thought about it, I think it's still advantageous for Oklahoma City for Houston to keep losing games. Um, they're they're right now they're third worst record. They still just have a 14% chance at the 1 pick and a 52% chance top 4, which means the other side of that 48% chance that they are not in the top 4. Even like and that's as high as they can go. That's the best odds that they can get is a 48% chance that we still get that pick. So, um, for them to continue losing is not the worst thing because it still could result in that pick conveying to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it's really not. Obviously, I think that most Thunder fans would prefer them to drop down to a spot like 5, 6, or 7, where the odds, tilt more heavily in the Thunder's favor, where you get maybe a 70% chance. If I was
Right.
given the option, 75% chance you can win $100,000 or 50% chance you can win $1 million. I'm taking door number one and taking my 75% chance of the $100,000. That's kind of like what this is. You know, I think that most Thunder fans would prefer that 70 to 75% chance of getting, like, say, a 7, 8, or 9 overall pick rather than the 48% chance of getting the 5 or 6 or 7 pick. That said, like you said, no matter how bad the Rockets are, worst case scenario, the Thunder still have a coin flips chance to get a top 5, 6, or 7 pick from the Rockets, and that's pretty exciting. Now, the flip side of that is you also have the coin flip of getting the Heat's pick, which is just they just keep winning,
That
and
yeah,
they're going to keep winning. That's going
that
to end
pick's
up
getting
being
worse
like
by
the
the day.
yeah, that's going to end up in the 20s. Probably looking at 22, 23, 24 overall pick.
And then the or sorry, not Oklahoma, the Golden State pick is also very interesting because they're starting to play really well on defense. They've been a very very good defensive team the last couple weeks, and if that that's another solid asset if they can get it. to potentially have 3 uh, in that first round. So I'm watching Golden State pretty closely.
Yeah, Golden State gives the Thunder a lot of hope actually for getting a third. I don't think anybody really thought there was much of a chance that that would convey at the beginning of the season, and definitely not say 10 games into the
Yeah,
season when
yeah,
Kelly Oubre was like 0 for 90 from 3 and they just couldn't win
yeah,
anything and Draymond Green wasn't playing. But now I'd say there's a better chance that the Thunder get the Warriors first round pick than the Thunder maybe getting the Houston pick, which, you much prefer the Thunder get that Houston pick. You much prefer they get all of the above,
yeah, yeah,
that they give themselves a top 5 pick, that they get a top 10 pick from the Rockets, and they get, a lower 20s pick from the Warriors. But, the Warriors and that Rockets pick both look about 50-50 right now, if you ask me.
yep. And I haven't looked. Have you seen like strength of schedule for the back half for either of those teams?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Rockets have one of the hardest schedules left in the league. I can't remember actually where the Warriors. I feel like the Warriors are about middle of the road. I feel like they have about an average schedule left. I feel pretty decent about that happening. But yeah, the Rockets, they'll get Christian Wood back though,
Yeah.
and that does help them out a lot. Their losing streak has coincided directly with losing Christian Wood.
And then Cousins, I guess they deemed it parting ways with the team. Like they just aren't built to win games without either of those two guys.
Yeah, you look at it, it doesn't make sense because they still have John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, all these guys, and you're like, well, they should still win games, but they are so weak right now at the center position
Hmm.
between losing Cousins and Wood. And Cousins was a shell of himself, anyways. There's a reason he hasn't been picked up by anybody yet. I mean, that's he will be, but this Rockets team needs a center badly. They need Christian Wood badly, and hopefully when he gets back, they'll at least pick up some wins and tilt the odds a little bit, even if it's just a few percentage points back in the Thunder's favor.
Yeah. And shout out James Harden for making it not matter that Houston never had a top tier center. Turns out that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. That I won't go on a tangent about he played the Rockets tonight, and of course went off, and there was the whole deal about the Rockets retiring his jersey, and then somehow, of course, OKC and KD get pulled into it because that's what always happens with
It's this.
every single social media post that has to do with basketball. Somehow OKC and KD get get snatched up into it, and
Yep.
they're just not comparable at all. James Harden, he it was a mutual thing as far as, they made it happen together. He told them what they wanted. They got a big return. And he said his goodbyes. He said all the right things to the organization, to the fans. It is not at all comparable to the KD situation. So everybody's saying, oh, the Thunder are classless for not treating KD the same way. Come on, it's not the same.
Wow. I mean, I didn't see those posts, but that is quite the take to compare those
Oh,
situation.
it was everywhere, man. Yeah, it was. I just, it's just funny. OKC and Katie just will all, it's kind of the story that will never end. And I
And
just, I didn't
and
like seeing the Thunder villainized in that way. I'm like, are we forgetting what went down here?
and are we forgetting that Oklahoma City will absolutely be retiring Kevin Durant's jersey? Like 100%.
Yeah, they're going to. It's not going to, it's just time heals all wounds. And
No doubt.
eventually the organization, the fans and all the, when time goes by, things will, I think even KD at some point will look back and be like, man, those were some incredible years. We made magic together, had so much success together. You want to embrace those memories eventually because they are great memories. So yes, the jersey will get retired eventually, but you don't do it right now. You don't go through a nasty breakup with, your boyfriend or girlfriend, and then a month later be like, oh, now I'm going to erect a statue in your honor.
That's you couldn't have said it better. Did they say when they were going to put his jersey up?
Harden's,
Hmm.
honestly, I didn't. I didn't delve into the details as much. I got caught up in the nasty, back and forth rather than getting into the actual story details. So I'm not actually sure.
If that's not Twitter in a nutshell right there, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I know. I just outed myself.
I didn't really get into the details much. I didn't read. I mean,
I know.
what are you expecting of me? You want me to
Bro,
read?
I just read a headline and went to the comment section. Come on.
Oh my goodness. All right. Thunder fans, this was not all that much about the game, but there wasn't all that much to talk about. And
Yeah.
there's a game tomorrow night. Oklahoma City is probably flying as we speak to San Antonio. They'll play the Spurs tomorrow night, and we will be back to talk about it. So Brandon, thank you very much, man.
Absolutely, man. Have a good night, Ryan.
All right, Thunder fans, thanks for listening. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast.